What's up? Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good morning, Ray. Good morning, Daniel. Good morning, Alessandro. First one in this morning, Alessandro. Or at least first one in the chat. Good morning, Blair, Frankie, Adam. Welcome in, guys. How's everybody doing? Good morning, Celios. Welcome in. Good morning. Good morning, Jeff. Welcome, Richard. Great workout, feeling good. Awesome. That's the best way to start the day right there. We'll get into it, Jeff. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Jose. Welcome in. Good morning, Jose. Good morning, Daniel. Agreed. You're leaning short. Is that what you're saying? There are some pretty large absorption orders that hit in the pre-market around 63.88, 63.86. The first key zone that I have that I was watching this morning going into today was this area around 63.90 to 6400, same area that I talked about yesterday. Sellers broke down through that pretty aggressively, and we left this area here of lower volume on the rally up, and then again on the rally down, we broke through that pretty quickly. So that's one of the key areas that I'm watching going into this morning. But just starting out looking at the 4-hour chart. Well, actually, let's just zoom all the way out. Let's start out with the daily. So pretty impressive recovery from bulls late yesterday. Pretty impressive recovery after that pretty large daily wick out at the highs. I think part of that was due because the rally happened overnight and in the pre-market yesterday with lower volume, which just left bulls very vulnerable to that quick drop back down. So you can see, looking at this chart here, yesterday in the pre-market, this is what I'm talking about. We rallied up pretty aggressively overnight, continuing this move from the day prior. So it just left, I would say, bulls kind of vulnerable to a big sharp reversal up here at these highs. I was looking for shorts if we popped a little higher off the open, but didn't get it. So I didn't take any trades on the stream yesterday. But we dropped all the way down, based and rallied above the opening range from, what was this, Wednesday? So we dropped down there right into this area of demand, value area low of that day, never broke down below those lows. And there's also a key level here that I've been watching around 63.40, and anchored VWAP for the last 2 weeks was also right around this level. So like 3 kind of key technical points here, and we dropped all the way down. The selling yesterday seemed very like manipulative, like every single little pop was sold into. So clearly there was some, in my opinion, some larger sellers with an agenda to manipulate the market lower yesterday, and until we based here, and that kind of was no longer enough. And during this basing period, obviously accumulation and pretty explosive reversal right at the end of the day off of that. So we'll see if this is enough. We did make 2 higher lows so far overnight, but we're kind of in a middle of the range area. The 2 key areas that I'm watching is kind of this area where this large rally yesterday afternoon occurred. So between, I also have a key level at the 50s, around 63.55. Another important note that kind of, I guess, mixed signals a little bit. You can see we had this kind of consolidation area here under this level for 1, 2, 3 days. And then we broke out above it, but the breakout above it rejected back into the consolidation range. However, before the close, we recovered green back above this level on the day. So a little tricky as far as just reading location and price action. All right, so now we'll drop down to the 4-hour. Just wanted to kind of maintain that higher perspective view. So overnight, we pretty much based out pretty flat. But I would say that is a little bit of a win for bulls, especially after the selling that occurred yesterday AM, to retest this level and to just hold here and not reject back towards the lows overnight was a win for bulls, in my opinion, especially because we already based off this demand area. Again, that VWAP level and this key level, we recovered back above this 63.55 level that I've been watching most of this week, which was around the 50% of this last week's range. It acted as resistance, and then it acted as support. And it's just kind of, it's not a key level like I'm looking necessarily for an entry off of it. I'm just kind of gauging, it's a little bit of just kind of a gauge of like where price is at and who's in control type of thing for me. So we dipped below that into this demand, into those other key levels down here, recovered back above it and back in the middle of the range on the day. And then overnight attempted to rally, didn't really get much higher, attempted to drop, didn't really get much higher. We're just kind of basing out. But important to note, just looking at the 4-hour here, higher low. We had this larger dip around 1 or 2 a.m. Yeah, it was about 2 a.m. And then went nowhere, recovered back up in the middle, and then went and took out the highs of that were set back here and then rejected back towards the middle. So I think going into today, if bulls are going to be strong and drive back towards the opening price from yesterday, it would be best in the first hour to hold above the 63.70s. Wouldn't want to really see them take out at this point, just given the overall context and everything. We could drop into that area that I said down here where this demand was. But ideally, if bulls are very strong, and we're going to take out these prior date highs, I would probably like to see them hold above these 70s. I wouldn't want to see this low taken out. And if we do get down here and I do see a setup to take it long off this kind of demand area that formed where we rallied aggressively, it would probably just be a quick scalp back towards the middle of the range. It wouldn't be something that I'm probably looking to take long and target a new new highs type of thing. See how the context and location also kind of guides like where the targets are that I'm also looking for. So dropping down to the 1 hour time frame here, again, we can see this large pre-market buying that occurred that got just reversed. This is what I was talking about. It just left buyers very susceptible if they couldn't continue that move for everybody to be off sides and bull squeeze drop. You know what I mean? Once we took out all of that buying overnight, it kind of got a little more accumulation. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't, we swept out all that, that weaker overnight buying that kind of drove price out of balance, swept them out quickly and aggressively in the 1 hour. And then as we continue to move down here, we started to see more and more absorption from buyers. You can see that as we grinded down here, absorption, absorption, absorption. You just see it in the wicks. And then eventually we hit the lows of this kind of demand area, kind of hit towards the lows of that demand area and recovered pretty nicely there at the end of the day. So initial game plan today, again, we're kind of a little bit in a balance range again, just on the 1 hour and the 4 hour. So we need to kind of, I'm going to be a little cautious. We're kind of in between the larger selling that occurred up here between, especially between that 6390 to 6400 area and this prior demand down here that we've now bounced off of. So we're kind of between this area of demand, this area of supply, and balancing on a knife. But we are still above that 50% range from last week. And if you just look at the higher time frame chart over the last week, we've pretty much recovered most of the selling that occurred last week. So as far as game plan goes, if we rally and take out these overnight highs and I see sellers reload very strongly in this area, 6390, 6400, then I may be looking to take it short, targeting more of the middle of the range. And if we drop down here, again, I'd be cautious if we drop this far. But if we drop, since we already based off here and we drop here into this area, and I see a lot of, again, buyers defending that, then I may look to take it for a quick scout back up towards the middle of the range. It is leaning bullish this week. Bulls are clearly in control. We've been making higher lows all week. So if we do break out of this 6390 to 6400 area and hold above it, especially if we get a lot of strong buying right in the morning, then I may look to take that long and just target the highs up into the 60, what is that? Maybe 6430s. 6420s to 30s. So if we're able to get up into the 90s to 6400s and I see a lot of strength from buyers and sellers are not able to reverse that zone, would I consider 05 to 13 a zone? Yeah, it could reject. We could take out these highs here into here and reject. But honestly, because of the amount of selling that occurred here, if we're able to recover that above those 6390s to 6400, then I don't see really much stopping that from just that much strength from taking out these highs up into the 6420s to 30s. If buyers are that strong to take out these sellers and short squeeze all these sellers this morning, I don't see much reason that they wouldn't go all the way to taking out the 20s to 30s. But we continue to balance here. So between this range, overnight highs around 87, 88, and that key level around 72. Be careful right in the middle of that. Now, just ahead of that, this is interesting from this morning. This is what I was talking about. This really large buying that occurred in the pre-market here around 7 a.m. That was interesting. Obviously, offers getting filled didn't really continue higher, but that was a lot of volume to transact up there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go retest that again. When I see a lot of volume built at the high like that, I wouldn't be surprised to go see that test again. But if we don't and that holds, then we could definitely drop back lower, back towards yesterday's lows. Let's see what everybody said. Good morning, Clayton. Welcome in. Good morning, Jorge. Kellen Rock, good morning. Welcome in. Sachin, welcome in. Nishan, find it tricky today because we tested 50% of the week range yesterday, held above today. 50. Yeah, a little bit of a tricky area that we want to be very prudent about where we execute trades. That's really been my MO this whole summer. If you guys have been watching the live streams for a while, you know there's been other days I've taken a lot more trades, but definitely over the summer have reduced frequency and really trying to hone in on key areas. Yesterday, the price ended up at almost the same as Wednesday. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, we are uptrending, but doing it in a way that we're kind of up and down, almost like a balancing act. It's Friday, and I'm putting a petition out for another full week of lives. We'll definitely do some next week. Happy Friday, everyone. Good morning, Andrew. Second. Zero print at 63.05. I still haven't gone back and looked at that, Max. Sorry. I will have to go back. What day was that from, Max? 63.05. Was that from Monday? I'll have to go back and load up the replay data. I'll have to go back and load up the replay data. That would be a big move from here on a Friday. Anything's possible, though. In like the first minute, okay? I'll have to go back and check it out. All right, so pretty simple game plan today. It's Friday, so I like to look for volatility early in the day. Otherwise, just don't don't hurt yourself. I always say a lot of times on Fridays, volume and volatility can really dwindle out as the day progresses, unless there's like some kind of news or something driving price action. So got to kind of watch out for that. So we got 7 minutes till the open. There's not a ton of high impact news today. Let's see. I'm not really tracking any news. Obviously, anything could happen as far as Trump putting out a tweet or something geopolitical breaking out. There's always that risk. But I don't see anything as far as planned news coming out. If you guys have anything, let me know. But I'm not tracking anything. Yeah, I'm not tracking too much on my end as far as news. But it's been a good week. Only a couple trades this week so far. I'll post a recap. If you guys aren't following on Instagram, I will be posting a recap on there, and we'll see how today goes. But a handful of trades this week, but very high R. Not the craziest profit week ever, but again, surviving summer, taking the wins, high R multiple. If there's a lot of momentum here off the get-go, I would not be surprised at all to see us go rally right and take out the overnight highs into that 6390, 6400 area. If there's at least a lot of buying momentum right off the open, would not be surprised at all to see that. Forgot your iced coffee today. Yep. Got mine going. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to take a break really quick before the market opens. What's up, guys? So just thinking about this. Kind of what I talked about a minute ago, as far as like Fridays, I kind of look for volatility early, take a scalp and walk away, or do nothing, especially if I had a good week. But I feel like there's kind of a psychological aspect to it. Talks about this in the book Best Loser Wins, if anybody's read that book. But talking about giving back a lot of profits on Fridays and getting overly greedy on Fridays, et cetera. And I think it's a very common problem among traders. And it's a common problem because it's probably a common psychology thing among humans. But I think a lot of people have a good week, say they're up some money, and on Friday, it's kind of the last day, they want to repeat the results they've had earlier this week. And so they may be more prone to take a lower quality trade. They're a little looser with their rules and stuff because they're wanting to repeat results they've had this week, and then they end up giving it back. Or on the other hand, say you're down some money on the week and you have this psychological pressure of, it's the last day of the week, I need to make all this back. I need to, you're completely focused on outcome. And so if you're down money on the week, then you're flipping that into, I need to make this back. And you know what I mean? And a lot of times people will size up, over trade, and then more and more professional traders walk away as the day goes on. Friday, I think, and volume and volatility tends to decline. And so there's less and less opportunity. And then you have a lot of FOMO in the market from other traders trying to make back losses all in one trade, or trying to repeat earlier results this week because they're getting greedy and they want to make more, and they want to do it again, run it back. And so to be successful, I think you really need to have a very opposite approach to that. Be very patient and really just try to repeat the system. Just focus on the system, focus on the trades. Nice rally right off the get-go. I do not currently have a Discord. I'm just doing this stuff on here for free for you guys. Nice little rally off the get-go here, going for those highs. Oh, let me move my screen over for you guys. Watch. I like to put it on the primary thing that I watch is Bookmap for the price action and order flow throughout the day. So a nice bit of buying here right off the rip. Right into this area. So this is going to kind of be key if we can get over this or not here. Had a nice like drop and base here above 80 to 78 area. Overnight, right here, dropped into here, based out. So I think, in my opinion, it's best for bulls to be able to hold above that and go take out the overnight highs, especially early, to have a shot today. We'll see how this sets up. So a lot of selling right at this level where all of this aggressive buying previously was. A lot of aggressive buying here that got absorbed, and then we popped right into that right here. And a lot of different than this. This was obviously a passive seller this time. Obviously, we see the large green bubbles, and this time we popped into it and we're seeing a lot of aggressive selling. Just noting the difference between what kind of participants are being involved where, passive or aggressive. Aggressive being like market orders, passive being like kind of limit orders participants. Despite all this aggressive selling, it hasn't really dropped too substantially. A lot of aggressive selling right at the highs didn't really drop price too much. We'll see if a pop makes a lower high or breaks out above that into that 6390 to 6400 area. 7 minutes in. Still kind of balancing here in this middle of this area, but a lot of aggressive selling has not really driven price lower. Just kind of zooming out here, we had this consolidation. Look at all of this aggressive selling here. So if there's a ton of people selling aggressively, yet the market is kind of moving up, still holding this basing area, see what happens if we squeeze out these highs into that 6390, 6400 area. Or if they're able to successfully have enough aggressive selling that they actually do reject under where this passive seller was earlier. It's kind of key either way. There's definitely something going on. You can see we're rejecting right at those 87s, 88s. The same place where we saw this earlier. So need to watch out for that. Definitely something going on here around these 87s, 88s. I think if buyers squeeze above that in the near term, we could have a pretty sharp pop higher. And if they don't, then the exact opposite. But it's interesting on this pop higher here off the open, how much aggressive selling is hitting. It's interesting to see this much aggressive selling on this pop higher off the open. A lot of buying coming in. Let's see if this takes out those 87s, 88s with this much buying coming in. Wow, look at that. See how interesting that was, seeing all this aggressive selling, but price not really moving lower. In fact, look at this, up, 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 higher low, higher low. Wow, look at that squeeze there. Good morning, little potato. Hate to try and be a first seller. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Would not recommend it. Alerts triggering. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone down here because I'm managing another position. This wasn't part of the live stream, but I loaded up on today expiration SPY calls from yesterday's lows during that consolidation. And I'm scaling out. 6390s to 6400 was the first target. But that was a swing trade with SPY calls, not part of my scalp positions. I'm up over 100% on those. Yeah, I'll go over. Sorry, guys, I'm managing a. I'm on my phone, managing a pretty heavy-handed SPY call swing trade. That wasn't part of my scalping trade that I took with you guys. That I took yesterday afternoon, and I'm scaling out because I had a lot of contracts. It was a pretty heavy-handed play. Heavy selling coming in here at the 63.90. So that's why I'm this 63.90. So I bought these SPY calls yesterday around when ES was around 63.40. So ES was around 63.40, and you guys heard my alerts triggering because I had alerts set on SPY. I'm watching ES charts, but I had alerts set on SPY to make sure I check my phone and scale out of my position as the targets hit. And targets hit. I just scaled out for about 115% on pretty large position. Yeah, I use the same strategies as far as entry, but for the plays that I do are primarily based on higher time frame analysis, like 4-hour and daily chart patterns, and then I confirm entry with the order flow. But yesterday during this consolidation, we were right in an area of demand, and I was looking for a dip to hold above. So I saw this dip above the 63.40 level that I talked about in the pre-market. I saw the dip under there, and then I just saw massive absorption and large aggressive buying here. And so I got in long pretty heavy, about 60 contracts on SPY. I was kind of holding my breath. I didn't even want to talk about it because they're Friday expiration, and I was worried. I wasn't expecting it to rally so much in the afternoon and into the morning. So we were already so close to my target. I was kind of holding my breath if we rejected, because we came so close to the 90s already, and that was my target. So man, this thing is a lot of buying. So I'm up about 120% on that position right now. their today expiration. Overnight, I was kind of like a little too nervous. I didn't usually trade like next week expiration. If it's late in the week like this, I'll trade like the next Friday expiration, but the risk was so small on the trade as far as like where I got in, that I was just kind of wanted to go in heavy handed with a lot of contracts, which was a lot cheaper to do today expiration. So because the risk versus reward was so high and I could get in with a pretty heavy handed position, pretty cheap for next day expiration, I did, and it paid pretty big. Wow. I am watching this ride. I'm ready to scale out again of these at the 6400s. I only have about 10 of the 60 contracts left. So just scale out some more. 5 more at 6400. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is a pretty big trade for me on the calls. So I don't do these often, only when I see something really good set up on like the 4 hour. I talked about this setup in a live stream that I did on Instagram, that the recording is on there. You could go back and watch, that I did with Dr. Stocks. So I talked about this setup on that live stream, and it's only once every month or a couple months setup. But when it happens, I try to hit it big, in addition to my normal scalp trades. Oh my God. Yeah, this thing is flying. What is the title of that live? It is from July 1st, and it was just the live trader talk. It was more of a mindset, but at the mindset talk, that's something that I think is really important. It's a longer one. It was like an hour or more, but it's posted on there. And at the end, I talked about a setup. It's kind of an Easter egg for anybody that really went through the whole kind of like trading mindset talk. And I went over that setup, not in super great detail, but I went over the gist of it. My goodness. Holy crap. GT500. This trade would almost buy a GT500. Oh man. So we're above those 6400s now. So I'm just like waiting for something to slow down to take more profit off. There's 0 DTE now. Yeah, I'll give you a gist of the setup. Oh my God. All I gotta say is thank God. Yeah, I just scaled a little bit more on over 150%. I would be cautious chasing up here. I'd be cautious chasing the move up here. We're coming up towards prior day highs. If we get a pullback now with this strength above that 90 to 6400 area, if we get like a sharp aggressive pullback into there, then I'll be watching it for a scalp trade. But this, I'm thank God that I'm already positioned in this from the SPY calls from yesterday, because this is just a rocket ship, and I haven't seen an entry to get a part of it with a scalp. $170% up now. I'm watching. I'm about to go probably all out on this position. So one, so I only have a little small runner left at this point. And two, I'd like to free up my focus for the day trades. And at this point, I'm just waiting for it to slow down. The second I see alert, if we go hit these offers here, I'm looking to just close it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. I'm all out for 190%. Good grief. Yeah, I just made a salary. It's all good. Just another day. Post a screenshot on Instagram for you guys. You can see in my story. I hid the P&L stuff, but you guys can, I posted the position so you guys can see on Instagram. You guys can verify. It shows date bought, average price, and percent return, 187%. Well, you guys want to see a recap of that trade? It's hard for me to, it's hard for me to chase anything up here. But all right, we'll take a look at the analysis for this trade, and I'll share it with you guys since I'm all out of it now, and I can think. You guys cool if we just go over the analysis for this trade setup? If we get, I'll keep an eye on it. I'll switch right back over. If we get a nice pullback into that key area, 6,400 to 6,390, well, it's pulling back a little bit. I will watch it for a quick scalp. But I already caught a big hit on this, so I'll go over the setup now that I'm out of the trade if you guys want. Yes, yes. Would you look for a mean reversion? Possibly, but honestly, with the amount of strength that we've seen from buying, I'm not, and the weekly trend is up. So that would be like counter trend on the week, counter trend on the day. Yeah, it can work, but probabilities wise, I'm not so interested in that, especially since I just capitalized in a big way on a long. So, all right, let's see the trade recap. All right. So since you guys have stuck through this whole week, I'll give you the setup. Some people left that were just looking for trade signals, so we got them out. You guys want to see a real setup, then I'll share it with you. So the primary analysis I do on this type of setup is on the 4-hour chart and the daily chart. And the first thing that I'm looking for is a uptrend. I want to see the market in an uptrend. Don't tell anybody, guys, about this live stream. This is only for you guys. I'm not sharing this with anybody else. It's only for you guys. So the first thing I like to look for is that the market is in an uptrend after a really large impulsive drop. So last week we had a really large impulsive drop sell-off on Thursday and Friday. Then I look to see that the market is recovering and going into an uptrend. We saw that start to, so on the I'm looking at the 4-hour chart here. So we had a crazy sell-off, impulsive drop. Everybody and their mother is short the market. Everybody wants to see it sell off. It comes into a key area of demand, which was this 6240 triple bottom support, which tested here 1, 2, 3 times it holds, 4th time it holds. So this is a very strong area. We had that impulsive sell-off into it. And now I see the market going into an uptrend on the 4-hour. And really look at this uptrend that we had going on. If you wanted, okay, say you wanted to be a buyer down here and then it started rallying. There was only 2 opportunities to really, like if you're looking at a higher time frame like the 4-hour, we never even pulled out 1 and 2 times. And this is the time that I got it. So we pulled back once, and that's where I confirmed that the market is in an uptrend, right? Because we made this impulsive low, we rallied into an area of resistance and rejected. And that area of resistance did not hold. We made a higher low and rallied above it again. So now I said, okay,
It's on. We're making higher lows now. Resistance level failed. Higher time frame. The market's straight effing up. You know what I mean? So everybody's like, this is the top. Short it. You know what I mean? Impulsive drop. Newsflash, it's not the top. And we're going back. So we confirmed the uptrend, large impulsive drop. And now I'm looking for an area of demand where the market based and rallied out of, which was here. Nice scalp, Jay. Awesome. Congratulations. Good trade. Yeah, let me know in the chat if you guys take any other trades. So now that the market's in, and this, you can see all the stuff that goes into it. That's why it's infrequent that I get this set up. And when I do, I hit it heavy with a swing trade. You know what I mean? So we had that impulsive drop. We confirmed the uptrend. We had this resistance level that made a higher low. Now we broke through it. And now I identified this key area for multiple reasons. One, we had a base and rally on the 4-hour. And then there was also anchored VWAP. So if you anchor VWAP from the lows, the extreme lows, it was also right here. We've been making this higher uptrend. Anchored VWAP is right here. Then I look for a consolidation period above it or swing lows. See how we had this consolidation period here? So we rallied and kind of based. So I'm waiting for a large impulsive drop on the 4-hour hourly time frame to break under these kind of consolidation lows here. So you can see we spent 4, 8, 12 hours consolidating here overnight, and then we rejected under it. So psychologically, what's happening here? Everybody is thinking this is going to happen again. You know what I mean? We coming up here, but not thinking about the fact that we already had that large impulsive drop, that mega drop, and it failed to get continuation under a key level. And now we're getting another large drop that's breaking under a swing low. And everybody and their mother is saying, the market is going to tank again. Let's short it. And it drops right into an area of demand, induces everybody to go short on the break under some consolidation lows, right into an area of demand. And then, so now that's the whole structural setup, right? So that's like the psychology and structural setup. Then what I look for is on this impulsive drop, I look for signs of absorption. So the first thing that I'm looking at is on the volume profile. So this is the 30-minute. See how we dropped down here? This is that impulsive drop yesterday. This is that demand area. And look how much volume transacted. So the market sold off hot and heavy early. And then look how this volume just built here. So this is, in my opinion, the market being manipulated by large players down, triggering everyone's stops that bought the overextended rally up. It's being manipulated down, but then it comes into this area where this demand was, and look at all this volume built up. This is a 30-minute chart, right? So 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 120 minutes. So all afternoon from like 1300 on, we just went sideways here. We had one more impulsive drop into this area that recaptured. That's where I took it long, because I saw all this volume just building here. So what am I thinking here? I'm thinking, okay, big players just manipulated the price down. All that structural stuff that I just went over on the 4-hour chart. Now they're accumulating a position here. Long. Everybody is now short. Everybody's short. Everybody wants to see a repeat of what happened last week. Guess what? It's not last week anymore. So now they're accumulating the long position. And so my initial risk on the position was very small. Like I wasn't going to risk like my whole position, right? If we would have broken down under the 63.40 level after we dipped and recovered, I would have closed the position. We dipped under it once, and I'll be honest with you guys, I was very close to closing the position yesterday. But then what stuck me to it is this, I never closed it because we recaptured above that 63.40 level. And if you're an invested trade, I shared all of this live real time. And then we had this really large rally at the end of the day. And that to me just confirmed, I said, okay, big players accumulated this drop. Because who in the world going into the close of the market, you guys know how high futures margins are, right? So who in the world right into the close is buying massive size at the market buy orders? Not retail traders. Not many retail traders are buying massive size right into the close of the day. You know what I mean? So who is buying? Big money players are buying. So I was already positioned in calls because I don't like holding futures overnight. And so my target area first was this area where this lower volume was, where these sellers were, and then a break above them. So I scaled out as we broke into here, into this 6390, 6400. And then you got to keep in mind, I normally like to do these like a week out, but like I said before, like I went over earlier, I decided to go a little heavy handed because the contracts were cheaper on next day expiration and kind of YOLO it. So I didn't really tell you guys because I don't really want to encourage anybody else to YOLO it, but that's what I did. And also this was later in the afternoon after the live stream ended yesterday. So I went in here, positioned for it. We rallied. I was a little concerned here coming in because we double topped this morning. So I was a little concerned because I can't close out of my calls overnight, right? I have to wait until the 9:30 open, and that's the downside. The upside is I can limit my max risk, right? If a position goes crazy against me and my orders don't get filled, I could lose a large sum with a big trade on futures. So I can cap my max loss with options. The downside is, depending on what happens overnight, I couldn't. So I set alerts, and if price would have rejected big overnight, I would have got on to hedge my position with futures. So like if it would have dropped crazy and my calls would have been going to zero, I would have got on and shorted the market with futures to hedge my position overnight. So I had alerts for that. And then I had alerts up here for my targets when those, so I bought them way out of the money, 633 calls. And once SPY broke above that, then I was looking to scale out. I wasn't looking for a massive home run above these highs. I was just looking to get above these. First target was this area where we see this large selling occurred that left this lower volume area. So we got above that. I scaled out for over 100% return on these 6390, 6400. And then it went all the way up to these highs. My final scale out was like 190%. Need the book map up, itching to long. Sorry, going over the trade. So let me get the book map up. So a lot of selling up here. So that was a great scale out. And the reason, so I don't try to get too greedy because I'm keeping in mind that the 0 DTE call options, the premiums will get crushed if I hold into a pullback. So I like to scale out when I'm in those kind of 0 DTEs and massive profit on the breaks of the levels. I scale out because then I'm capturing like the maximum profit, because a small pullback can wipe out a huge percentage of those 0 DTEs. So do I have yesterday's action on here on Bookmap? I do. Sweet. I left this open late because I was watching. So this is what I saw when I got in down here. No, wait, this is today. Here's yesterday. So here's yesterday's price action. And you can see when we dipped under this 6340 level and the selling dwindled, there, I'd already been seeing like massive absorption. And then we dipped under that again, and just look at the massive buying that came in. And then we held a higher low. Look at all this aggressive selling that could not make another low. So that's around where I got in, around the 6340s. And then I was watching it because if intraday we broke down under that, I would have closed it for probably like a 20% loss or something. And so we broke, and then I got the confirmation. I said in the chat that I communicate with, I said, I want to see large aggressive buying for me to confirm the setup to hold it into the next day. We got that large aggressive buying. So to me, that tells me, okay, big players have accumulated and now they're buying the heck out of this thing. They bought the heck out of it, and you guys saw how it went from there. Make sense? Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's gone now?
Yeah, it's gone now. I drank it. My 3-year-old daughter's having a pretend tea party and gave me some tea. Sorry, guys. Yep, got to drink the tea. All right, so you guys got my favorite A+ swing setup there for sticking with the streams all week. I don't see a good scalp opportunity. We did drop into that 6,400 right there. Yeah, I'll have some tea. Yep, no problem. Thanks for joining in this week, guys. If you guys appreciate that, drop a like on the video. This better have like the most likes of any video ever. I just handed you guys an ATM machine. Been holding long from 96. Hey, nice. Nice. I don't really like going against this strength. I'd rather see a pullback like we just saw here into these buyers. But it's getting to a point where it's a little extended to long it, and it's a little extended to long it, and it's it's a lot too strong to short it. Yeah, you need an iPhone Max. Yeah, this thing's still going. So thank you.
You better new one so it don't spill.
Okay, I'll bring it in my work. Thank you. Cheers. Okay. A lot of this is my own stuff, Kellen Rock. Bye. A lot of this is just my own strategy stuff from just years of trading. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, this thing is strong, guys. Super strong. All right. Well, if you guys appreciate the insights, drop a like. I appreciate everybody tuning into this week. I will post a update for you guys on Instagram for the trades this week. And yeah, if you appreciate this, drop a like and share it. Appreciate everybody joining in. We will be back next week. I don't know if I'm going to commit to every day next week. We'll see how it goes. But for sure, I mean, I always do like at least a couple days a week of the live stream. So make sure you turn on the notifications so you don't miss it. I post the most real-time updates about everything on Instagram. So I recommend following on there so you guys can see, holy, this thing just keeps going. I already got my piece, but gee whiz, just keeps going. Thanks for everybody tuning in, and I'll see you guys on Monday. So I'll leave you guys with what I'd be watching for is just any sharp aggressive dips to get bought, especially above that 6390 to 6400. But it is extended now. But if we do get any sharp aggressive drops, I'd be looking for them to lack continuation and get absorbed from large passive buying. But this thing is just a rocket ship, so there it goes. All right, I'll see you guys Monday. Thanks for joining in. Peace.